I'll call the meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Rules Committee of the Representative Town Meeting. And first item of business is to approve the minutes to the April 7, 2025 meeting. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay, well, a second. Thank you, Joe. Corrections, additions? Hear none, see none. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Don't hear any. Abstentions? Don't hear
And
any.
Rolf is waiting to enter.
Okay, well, that's good. Minutes stand approved. Just sort of a follow-on, talk about where we are with the revisions to the town harbor ordinances. Frank, just sort of an update, where are we?
Give you a short version. The long version is available 40 minutes. The Thursday night's meeting.
Thank you for forbearing.
Keep short version.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, real short.
Thursday night's meeting of the Harbor Advisory Commission, Coastal Advisory. And so we went through the process with that group. Briefly, it is, we will have the Coastal Advisory Commission and the Harbor Master will rent the town hall and have a general session for people to explain to people about it and answer questions and have a good old time of it. After that, we will have our formal town public hearing. Based on what comes out of that, our three committees will begin to make sausage and make the corrections and anything that comes up. Once that is approved by town council, it will pass through here and be put up on the RTM's calendar. Because of the because of the interesting sequence of events where you've got to have notices in the newspapers twice, and then a cooling off period, it looks like we can't really have that formal hearing until second week of June, which knocks us out until having it come before the RTM in September. And fortunately, the leadership of that group is content with that. They're not upset about that timing. So I'm looking forward to working with it. Susan was there at the meeting and made good contribution, and Adele was sitting next to me, and I think we answered their questions.
Oh, that's great. Welcome, Mark.
Yes, sir.
We did start, but we are just very early in the
Actually, we
game.
done.
Patty took some notes.
Perfect.
We'll let you get
Pat,
set
is
up.
someone in the waiting room?
Walter Engel is in the waiting room.
Do we know him?
We'll find out.
We'll find out. See, Lois, this is one where if you were at your own computer, you could send a message saying who
You
are
can
you.
do it here.
Yeah, but she could do it from there too.
No, I can do it, I just, in case there's, you know.
Admit and then send a note saying, what district are you in?
You could do the message without admitting
Or you could do it without the video.
it. You can do a chat, Patty,
Okay.
do chat. And then click on chat.
So he's changed his name to Stefani.
So do we want to,
I still don't know who that is.
And
You
now
need to click chat again.
and now he dropped out.
okay, so there we go.
Okay, let's go. Yeah, that's one then.
Nice catch.
So wait, did he leave or we?
No,
He left.
Okay.
there must be some.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it, Frank. Complicated. But it's just like one foot in front of the other and keep moving. All right, next is discuss and take action to place items on the RTM agenda for the town budget. The first thing is going through and assigning committees, and I sent out a draft of the meeting with the, thanks to some assistance from Jack, who sleeps, I think, here. I think they have created a bed for him here. And so he knows who's been involved quite a bit in
So
each
can
one
I
of
run
these
through
things.
this, and then we can vote on the whole thing, make it easy?
That's what I'm thinking. If you guys are up for it, I'd just as soon vote all of it
Do it.
at once. Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
first one is 2513 is the $3 million. I'm waiting for the resolution to come from Wayne, and then I'll give it to Krista and the rest of this crew. That's only F&B, it's the movement from the general fund to, which otherwise would have come from taxes. Then there's we started last year, the state is requiring us to have a 6-year plan of capital improvements so we can get our lopes in. Last year I suggested that a lot of other committees look at it, that completely failed, so F&B is just gonna look at it.
Can I make one suggestion? When you do this part, that's gonna be a little confusing, I think, for people. They're going to ask the question,
I'm gonna answer the
Yeah.
questions that Dan asked.
I don't even know what he asked, I'm just saying it happened in our own meetings where someone had asked, wait, why are we voting on something 6 years out? It's because the state
Yeah,
is
I'll
making-
give the.
So as long as you explain it,
The explanation's
Right.
gonna be there.
Thank you.
It's gonna be an explanation, these are placeholders. We're
Placeholders.
required by the state to do it, we're not approving, each one of these will come individually.
Thank you.
If they don't understand that,
No.
I have something else to say to them.
Oh, no.
That's basically what the Board of Finance
Finance.
described it as
Right,
well.
right, and Dan asked a question on that,
I know.
and so I answer, he asked a good question, so I incorporate that into what I'm gonna talk
Great.
about. The next one is the appropriation for the capital, where we're gonna do the introduction, F&B, and then the committees will be responding, with the exception of PZ&H, because they really don't have capital to report on this year. So that's the order. Education, I've already spoken to Liza. We need to make sure that Liza is on all communications from Rules, because she has not been. I forwarded stuff to her today.
I got it.
Gotcha, and I've also already told her about what's order, and I'll help her with the introduction on education. Then we go through the next thing, which is the selectmen's budget. F&B will introduce. Then we'll have secondary reports from Park and Rec, Public Works, PZ&H, and Public Health and Safety on their various aspects of the operating budget. The next is the education budget. Liza will introduce that as primary, F&B will give a secondary report. Then we show that we can add the two of these together, which we do by acclamation, but I still have to do the motion to move it. Then we establish the mill rate. So there's another document here that says that I have to make sure the right document goes out. The Board of Finance approved a 15.50 mill rate. We will be making a motion on the floor of the RTM to reduce the mill rate to 15.48. So I have two versions. I have one from Jen that has the 15.48, but we can't vote on that because that's not what the Board of Finance voted on. What happened was that if you recall that we did the automotive change of depreciation, that had to be certified, and it wasn't certified until subsequent to the Board of Finance vote. So the adjustment was made, and we get to make the change on the floor of the RTM. I'm working with Wayne to have the write-up on the executive summary explaining it, and the motion to adjust to be included in the package so that nobody is surprised by it and they understand it before we're making it. We're not cutting anything, we're just adjusting it based upon the fact that the grand list was larger. All right, then we do the 5 million authorization for borrowing based upon future tax receipts, that's a quick one that F&B will do. Then we have the other appropriations. We have always done this as one resolution. So we'll do the, F&B will do the introduction explaining that this is to give the appropriation so that they can spend the money. Then I have, how to get to my right one, Public Works will do the sewer fund and the parking funds. Ralph, you should already know that. The Park and Rec does the recreation program fund. For the Great Island Management Fund for 340, I would actually prefer you to do that if you don't mind.
I'm not opposed to doing it, Ralph, if you're on.
No,
I
it's
still-
not his.
No, but I still think it should be a committee assigned, and I can, at Ralph's discretion, speak on behalf of.
I was
Public
doing
Works.
it as a representative to the Great Island
Oh, okay.
Fund. So
Is that
that's-
As long as that's
yeah,
appropriate.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't,
I can just
I
see
don't
the
think there's
40,
an issue,
so that
unless,
becomes
okay.
appropriate. But I didn't want to assign you without asking you first.
Right.
Okay,
yeah.
so
and,
that's marked.
Ralph, is that okay with you? Yeah, Ralph. so you-
Well, it's, if anything, it's not, it would either be F&B or GIAC, because it's an accounting issue, not a public works issue. So that's why I just would like to have, Mark as our representative to
Oh, I
show his
think,
face.
I think that's ideal.
Okay, and then I have the appropriation, and the resolution for the 154 million, that allows them to refinance anything that's going on. This is what the ultimate resolution will look like. However, I have to have, Jen change the 1548 back to 1550, because we can only vote on what the Board of Finance sent to us. So we'll get that done. I'm meeting with her
And
tomorrow.
then we move to amend,
Then I'm gonna move to amend.
or,
And Wayne's gonna write the resolution to amend, and we'll have an executive summary explaining why we're amending, included in the package. So,
And amending on the floor of the May budget meeting. Okay.
actually.
yeah, you know, we
can
don't
do
have
it.
any choice, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's, I'm just confirming.
That's just
Yeah.
that last item, Jack, is that what?
No, that's the mill rate,
That's
The mill rate, got it.
F.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
F, it's 2514 F like Frank.
so if everybody's in favor of that, your draft warning,
I'll take a motion first to assign the committees. Thank you. Susan? Okay, second from Lois. Further discussion? All in favor? Okay, opposed? See none? Abstentions? I see none. Motion passes. Committees are assigned.
on the draft warning,
Right.
on item 6, can you put a 0 after the 25, please?
Too bad.
Copy and paste and it missed the zero.
That's
I love it.
There'll also be some minor explanation, just because there's 3 projects that were initially discussed, even at a high level during the budget process. The Board of Selectmen approved some guidance on what's allowed to come off cycle, because they control the general fund. If it's not from the budget, it goes to them. The 3 items are another fire engine, which really doesn't matter because it's a 4-year wait before we actually make a payment, or actually receive it. The Weed Beach Initiative, which the bids are going out, and Pear Tree, which has been reduced. For budget purposes, to have it at the last estimated cost versus just putting in a placeholder of 10 million. So those 3 will ultimately be bonded, should they be approved. And they were all discussed, so they're gonna be compliant with the guidance set by the Board of Selectmen. And so I'll mention those
Questions?
Sounds so simple.
Does it?
Just
They
cake,
got this,
right?
right?
No, nothing complicated here. Anyway, all right, well, then, I'll take a motion to approve the draft warning, the warning for the town meeting, the annual budget meeting
As amended.
on May 12th as, well, no,
Zero,
no, it has to go, well, yeah, as a,
As
so
about
with
to,
the
Correct.
typo corrected.
Right, everything else is fine.
Everything else is fine, so
So
yeah.
not as amended, just
That's
motion.
It hasn't been amended, it's
Okay.
just
Correct.
corrected, yeah. Okay,
And who
do I
was
have
it?
I have a motion from Jack, is it, or motion from Mark, second from Frank?
Frank.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed, see none? And no abstentions, great, so the warning is approved for the May 12 meeting and of the RTM. And one other piece of business, it's possible that Lois would have something from
Just quick.
technology,
Well,
so I'll recognize Lois.
thank you for Susan and Adele and Patty and a bunch of other people we did a second level training. And Patty is running this meeting, so our group is expanded. Patty, everybody's doing great.
Really just pushing a button, not running anything.
Anyway, I think we've got this pretty well done. Mike and I have done some other testing in the auditorium just to get more familiar with that, and that seems to be going well. The one other piece is the issue of the Zoom bombing, and we've been working with Wayne on that, and we haven't heard back, but he's turned it over to the FOI committee and said, basically, we've got this problem, how should we solve it, rather than them telling us all the time, no, you can't do all these things. We flipped the switch, the thing and said, what should we do? We've had this problem, and knock on wood, this is the third meeting I know of that has been since that's happened, and it's been okay. We haven't gotten any other people. We've gotten more familiar with some of the tools that we can use, and Mike and I are trying to get answers out of Zoom, which is not the easiest thing to do, to find out what other things that we can, what other options we have. So we're still working on it, but the best thing is that nothing's happened since then.
We went to ask people in Greenwich what they do, and because they still have a third of their RTM attendees attend remotely, which is dividing the group. But for their BET meeting, all of their first selectment meeting, they're all on Zoom, and they use the webinar, which is what, $700, I think, and make all of the attendees like they're speakers at a webinar, and so anyone who joins, someone has to open their mic, similar to what we did for GoToMeeting back in the beginning days of COVID, where we used the webinar that the town licensed, and someone had to open an individual couldn't open their own mic. It had to be opened up by an administrator. So that's what they do, which is an option we could go to, and then you make everyone on the committee like a speaker at a webinar. And so their mics would be open, and anyone else, a meeting moderator or co-host, would have to open up someone from the outside who wanted to talk. They wouldn't be able to open their microphone on their own. So that's down the road, but that's a $700, $800 expense that right now we're paying $200 a year.
And along with that, just a second, that we in the RTM do not have public comment in any of our committee meetings, so we can use different kinds of controls. The Board of Ed and Board of Selectmen and things, and Board of Finance do have public comment, so they have different restrictions that they're gonna have to solve. We work for the RTM, so we're keeping our little box trying to straight. And we have an idea, one of the.
It matters, look, the fact of the matter is that a committee makes a decision whether or not you have public comment or whether or not you allow non-elected members to participate in your meeting. F&B has decided we do not allow public comment and we do not allow non-elected members from participating in any of our meetings. So because of that, we're different. But if a committee so desires to allow somebody, other than a presenter, so we can have somebody present. But, if you so choose to do that, then there's certain differences in what you have to allow. Once you allow somebody to speak, then you cannot restrict people from entering your
Right.
committee.
Well, we have, just help me understand how it's a public meeting, but you don't allow anyone in but the committee.
Susan,
I just don't know.
that's what we were asking the FOIA people. We have this problem, how do we solve it? Rather than saying,
Right, but Jack's saying a different, well, what, so if I
I'll
tried to go
give you
to.
my legal opinion.
that's
For
the
what it's
answer,
worth.
Susan.
Well,
Exactly.
No, I just,
No, let
I'm
me,
listening.
let me give you my thought process on this. My thought process is, you have a right to view the meeting. My meeting is recorded. Nothing gives you the right in my meeting to speak or to be there live on time. So that as long as my meeting is properly recorded and viewable the next morning, I have not taken away your right to observe the meeting of what we did. Because you didn't have any right to interact with my meeting members or myself or my committee during. So you have the same rights you had before, it's just you do it the day after as opposed to real time. Doesn't matter, you text people and other things like that, but it doesn't matter.
so if the meeting was live, if it was in this room, would you not allow people in the door?
No, different.
Okay.
If I'm having an in-person meeting, anybody who wants to come in is more than welcome. They just can't start doing porn in my live meeting.
GIAC.
oh, well, there's a
After it's all after.
refreshing,
Susan, thank you for asking that, because I've been, I mean, we've been in Parks and Rec meetings where Adele has let people speak over the years, and so I'm a believer of participatory government. This is more from a tech bombing standpoint,
right.
is what you just said.
I'm participatory, it's just,
Yeah,
you know.
TV 79 only has the ability to go from one room live at a time. We don't have the ability to do multiple live meetings. So for
Right.
the GIAC meeting the other night that they moved up to 206, they could do it live, so they encouraged anyone who was calling in on Zoom, if you don't plan on speaking, watch it on YouTube. And so I dropped off and watched it on YouTube, and it made it a lot simpler and made their life a lot easier too, especially once public comment was out of the way. You know, there was no one
is
else.
that a last minute decision?
That's what the Board of Ed does.
I don't know what they're,
To make it live?
because they moved to 206,
Yeah,
it was,
That-
we
And
were
was
able,
that a last minute
we were able to
decision?
do it live, because we were in 206, because there was another meeting, there was another meeting in 119.
Okay, and
But
how was that announced to the public then?
they said at the beginning, because they're having trouble getting everyone in, saying if you don't want to speak, we suggest you go to the TV 79 live feed on Optimum or on YouTube, and that's what I did.
And that's exactly what the Board of Ed does in their, when they send out their agenda, they give you one line if you intend to speak, and another line if you just want to observe. So that's consistent. But they do allow public comment, so.
Yeah.
And Jack, so one of the other problems that we're working on is whether we set the screen at gallery or speaker. The
that's
recording
why
is always,
it's
but we've come up with the trick, we've got a workaround.
I don't like that when we're doing virtual, that my face is on there virtually the whole time.
Well,
So,
you can solve that one, Jack.
yeah. Do you wanna get the
Who would've
answers to the
thought?
questions that were there? I mean, I like the gallery to be shown. I think
Okay,
that's the better.
but just quickly, we've discovered that you can have participants, up to 9 of them, and it shows as a gallery. So we're gonna let you set up 9 as you log people in as participants, and it'll then do what you want. While we work on we're not done, but while we work on that other problem.
Sure, great. So,
Anything else?
no, I was
Frank
about
has
to
hand up
say,
one.
I have returned to rules, and we can get this meeting done because I've returned to rules in 30 minutes as opposed to the hour and 45 that you had when I was not here. So if there's no objection, I make a motion to adjourn.
We object to a lot of
I
things.
object to that.
I agree with you, Michael. Is there any other business? Is there-
No, there's no other business other than if you're all set.
So moved.
Okay, second,
In favor.
all in favor? Please rise.
Well done.
Wait, wait.